Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Himsel, and I'm the founder of Women with Guts Productions. I'm here with a really gutsy woman today. Her name is Dr. Milagros Hernandez. Dr. Hernandez, thank you so much for being here today. And we'll get started. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Rachel. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
You've been with me from the beginning.
It's true. It's true. And it's so nice. My friends and family, it's so nice to see how much success you've had since we launched. It's been about 4 years ago since you started your company, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and we just had one more person, so let's let that in. But thank you all for coming today, and I really appreciate you being here with Dr. Milagros Hernandez. She's going to be sharing more about her journey. We met the first time in New York City. She's a Queens native. Well, you live in Queens, right? But you're from Florida. You have Florida roots. So why don't you tell me? We'll start out today just talking a little bit. I know quite a bit about you, but I want everyone to hear story about where your family, where you grew up, and kind of how you got to where you are now. So can you tell us a little about your family life?
Sure. Actually, I was born in Cuba, Guantanamo, near the Guantanamo base. I was there until about was 10 years old. Then we moved to Spain, migrated to Spain. And we lived there approximately about a year. Then I came to the United States by myself. So I was able to.
That's Gutsy, by the way.
I had to do that so my parents can come faster. Me being in the United States, I became as a resident, so they would come in 3 months. So I stayed with my uncles, which I hardly knew, in New York City. And then after that, we moved to Florida, where I grew up. And until about I was 18, 19, then I went to college, and I came to New York City to do residency in internal medicine, and then I did my fellowship in rheumatology, and I met my husband. And suddenly it was supposed to be 1 year, it turned out to be 8 year, and then I've been here 30 years now. Got married, got child, son, and I became established medical professional. And as you know, in 2010 I developed breast cancer, and I had to have a double mastectomy. My son was 10 years old, had just turned 10, and that led me to be stronger and be a believer, actually, that with faith, sometimes you can accomplish a lot of things. I was lucky enough to have an early stage of breast cancer. And but the double bilateral mastectomy was a big deal because I was very sick after that. They couldn't intubate me. I almost died during the intubation process. And I stayed very weak. I wasn't able to speak correctly for about 3 weeks because of all the trauma under my vocal cords and all that. And I decided to, investigate. I had plenty of time at home, 3 weeks being at home. The links, when I went into the computer internet, the links between chemicals and certain cancer, all types of cancer, actually, not only breast cancer, the impact that it has. And then I went on all my makeup bags and stuff, and the foods and the cleaning products, and they all contain chemicals.
Right.
And then I started researching about all these things, the links between chemical and cancer. And there's a big research still going on about, and it's very common knowledge now, that there's a big disturbance of the DNA with the, it's not only one-time use, it's with the accumulation of toxic chemical.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And so that was a really big, so I remember you told me when you found out about, that link, you threw everything out in your house, right? You threw everything out.
Yeah, all my makeup, I started going getting more organic food and trying to eat as healthy as possible. And then I said, God, everything that I use has chemical. When I study, even, the soaps, the creams, the moisturizers, everything has some kind of chemical in it. If you're not careful to read the ingredients, the label. And that led me to a big research that in 2018 that I launched my skincare line. Because I said, why don't I create something great that doesn't have any chemicals in it, and that I can use? And actually, I was not going to make a big deal out of it. I just wanted to make some for myself, my family. And my sister-in-law told me, why don't you make it like a line? Why not? I said, oh, it's a good idea. Let's try. And that's how we met, and we left in 2018.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday, but then this pandemic happened, and I feel like can you tell me a little bit about, you started your own business, it got off to a good start, then the pandemic happens. Did you kind of have to pause a little bit? Because you got, I'm sure, very busy as a medical doctor, because I want everybody to know, besides launching your own company, you're working full-time doctor hours, which are really like full-time hours beyond what normal people have to work, really. So that's why I'm also impressed by your stamina. As a cancer survivor, you started your own business, you're working full-time, you have a child, like you kind of were doing the thing that we try to do. You're doing everything. But did you have to slow down during the pandemic and like focus on your medical practice, or how did what happened and any lessons during the pandemic from you as a medical doctor?
Well, I was quite busy. We were quite busy during the pandemic. And, you have to wear all the protective device, the mask, the goggle, the gown. In 2020, when thousands of people were dying in New York City. And the product was already launched in the store. I mean, we have an online store, so everything was going okay, but it did slow down the order processing. But thank God, I had started my trademark for my name. And at the end of not the end, because I don't know if it's the end of the pandemic, but I got my trademark like close to a year ago, which was I was very excited, because I was trying like for 2 years, and with the pandemic, everything got slowed down.
Right.
And then I got into QVC online, which was a great thing. That the pandemic slowed down. I was waiting like for 3 years for that to happen.
Right.
And suddenly I got a phone call. Oh, we're going to be the acceptors on QVC. So I got all excited, and happy.
Yeah, and that happened. So congratulations. You beat me to it, but that is one of the questions I wanted to ask you, where you are now and with your company. And QVC is such a big thing. So your product's available on QVC. So what did that feel like to you as as a businesswoman? How did you feel like to kind of reach that milestone? And what was that like?
Actually, at the beginning, I wasn't even, when they called me, I was even surprised, because it had been so long that we had applied to QVC, like 3 years. I said, oh wow. Whoa, I was like, I was about to cry. I was so happy. And it's a big accomplishment to get into QVC, because I had to go through so much they have a big law department that you have to go through. And every time they ask for this paper, that paper, more paper, I send more than 50 different kinds of paper, because they want to make sure you're, legal and everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's a very reputable company. And I was about to give up, and I said, no, I can give up on something that I try so hard,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing I admire really most about you, is your tenacious spirit. You don't give up, and you keep going. You kept your business going during the pandemic, and a lot of small businesses didn't make it, but not only did you come out of it, you're thriving. You landed QVC. So congratulations on that. And one thing I did want to talk about quickly was, since you mentioned the not giving up, is let's go back to like how you felt, during, when you found out about cancer, and you had silicone implants, and then you also faced some real challenges there with the implants. Tell me what you did and do to not give up. Like, because all of us, we reach that point where like, I want to give up. And your dad told you, you can't be a doctor, be a nurse. You didn't give up. And I love that story too. So every time you just don't, so what's kind of your secret, or do you have any words of wisdom for not giving up?
I have is your inner strength. I have a very strong personality, I guess. And and a lot of faith. And I said, when my father told me, oh, women should be a nurse, not a doctor. I said, why, Dad? Because it was in the 1980s,
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be a doctor, so I'm going to be a doctor. And he didn't speak to me, I told you, for a month. And
Yeah.
I said, whether you like it or not, I get loans, If you don't want to help me, I get loans.
Yeah.
So finally, he gave in, and then he was very proud when I graduated. And he's still very proud that I took my own decision, and my mother was very supportive. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, it was a shock to me because I used to get my mammogram yearly, and sonogram, I even MRIs. And when the doctor called me, I was in shock, but at the same time, he told me it's not very, it's like, it seems like early stage. And I said, oh my God, I have to do whatever I have to do to survive, because I have a 2-year-old son that I want to see grow, at least graduate from college,
Right.
And he called me the next day to his office, and he told me I didn't actually opt for mastectomy. He suggested, because he had discussed the case, because I had a lot of calcifications in both breasts. And it's the best thing that I did to have the mastectomy, because on the left breast, I had lobular carcinoma that didn't show on the MRI or the mammograms. It was early stage 2. I had on the right breast DCIA, stage 0. So he told me, but you have so many calcifications that everyone suggests to get a double mastectomy. And then, I said, okay, let's get it done. If that's what I need to survive, let's get it done. And it's a good thing I did. But then I went through a lot, because then I had my implant ruptures. I just had them replaced 3 weeks before the launching or skincare. I don't know if you recall that.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. I had it replaced because I had a lot of complication with that. The silicone implants affected my lungs, and I had to be on antibiotic for 3 months prior to the surgery and get pulmonary clearance. And I think at the second time, everything was smoother with the implants, and I got saline implants, but still they don't feel all that, they feel uncomfortable. It's not like your own breast. You still feel a little pain here, a foreign body in your body, but I think God gave me the strength to put it aside. It's a very exotic, a very important part of a woman's body, but it doesn't make me. It's like I'm myself. I'm a human being, that my breasts do not make me. That's the way I feel about it.
Amen. Amen. Testify. I think we need to get that message out, especially to young girls. And as more and more kids are asking for, implants, and then there's this danger like that, you're one of several women I know who've had breast implants rupture, and we just have to find, of course, safer alternatives, or the alternative of, of not putting so much emphasis on the body, on
exactly.
Look. So, wow. So I'm hearing you say your faith is important to you, your family. So even once your dad came around, he's been supportive, and you had that strong family connection. And then I think also you've gotten to know, I remember talking to you about your patients, like your patients, you have really good relationships with your patients, and a great friend and family network in New York. So I think it's all very important. But well, I'm going to ask you a hard question, and then we'll probably get to questions from the audience if people are interested. But I'm curious, who are some of, I used to ask who's the gutsiest woman, but who are some of the gutsiest women that you've met in your life? Who are some of the gutsiest women that you can think of who inspire you?
Actually, there's one woman, actually, she was my 9th grade teacher.
Yeah.
And she was my teacher for 9th, 10th, 11th, my whole entire high school for Spanish AP. And she said, if you don't want to you want to prosper. My parents had a business, a restaurant, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be a nurse. She told me, if you want to prosper in this country, you can prosper. She was also Cuban. And she told me, she said to the class, not too specifically to me, study is the way to go. And I never forgot that.
Yes, studying is the way to go. Okay.
And that's exactly what I did. I said, I'm going to do what I like to do, because since I was like 14, 15, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I just didn't know how to go about it. I didn't have the mentoring, someone to mentor me to see which way to go. I had to find out my own, which was interesting, going to different places, asking different people how to go to, I didn't even know about taking your SAT, all these things. So I have, a lot of people mentoring in high school, counselors. And also one person that I admire very much, but I have never met, is Miss Oprah Winfrey. Her childhood, when I read, actually I never watched her program, but when I read her biography, she must be one of the gutsiest women I ever read about. I never met her, because what she went through her childhood, no child should go through.
Absolutely. Yeah. Her story is amazing. She's inspiring, and she's helped so many other people. And about her. So she's on my list too, Oprah. And I love that, a teacher, you just reminded us how important teachers are. I have a lot of teachers in my family. So thank you for recognizing them and their work, and hopefully inspiring more teachers. We need more teachers. And that's what I think I love about your work, and is that you're teaching people. So I want to share your lessons that you've given me. One is get a mammogram, right? Would you say that's one of your lessons? Get mammograms, do self-checks. And another thing that you and I have talked about before we do get to the Q&A and stuff is regulation. Like when I started working with you, the medic, and it still is, the cosmetic industry is very unregulated and kind of like the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
I mean, like you make something, you put it in a store, and there isn't the USDA, there isn't the FDA, there isn't like this checks and balances. So would you give if you could, if I made you president tomorrow, what kind of thing would you do to try to bring awareness to or change in the cosmetics industry to help women not get cancer, people not get cancer from this stuff that we're putting on our bodies?
I think the most important thing is to regulate the amount of chemicals that are in the products, in everything, from food to cleaning supply to deodorant, not only cosmetic. It's the amount of chemical in all those products that should be regulated, and especially in the cosmetic world, that some giant companies, they're full of chemicals, and people don't even read the labels. They just, because they have big names, they think they're good for themselves, but they're not. You just harm your body, your health, and your beauty should not cause your health.
Exactly. Yeah, the beauty should never be harm to your health. And that's something that's, I love that you're sharing that message. I do. And I hope that everyone here is, listening, and this video reaches people who are, what I was shocked by, it was something like, I don't know if you remember the exact number, and maybe it's changed, probably changes, but the average number of products that the average American woman puts, do you remember what it was? It was 20 or 30.
In New York City, it's 21, and it has 174 chemicals in a daily basis.
What? Wow, 174 chemicals. That's a new number to me, because we talked about 21 products.
No, 21 products, and that accounts for 174 chemicals that you count your spray, your shampoo, your deodorant, your moisturizer, your makeup, your eyeliner, all those things. It accounts to that, your perfume, your cologne,
Yeah.
because everything has chemical.
Right. And
And it's
people
that accumulation of chemical that disturbs the DNA.
right. And that's important. I love that you're putting it's disturbing our DNA. It's like, it's not just and the skin is the largest organ also.
Exactly.
Don't know is that we're wearing an organ and everything we put on it goes just directly into it, so I think
yeah,
they don't, I think some people don't understand that. And I hope that people do after listening to you. So before we get to the Q&A, because we're going to ask a question in just a second. So if you guys are listening along, one of you got to win a prize today. We're going to ask you a question about Dr. Milagros. But is there anything else you want to share before we kind of get to our little game? Or anything else exciting in your life, gutsy things happening?
Well, I'm trying to bring awareness, to not only my skincare line, but to bring awareness to take care of yourself. Do your mammogram, do your pap smear, not only mammogram, do your colonoscopy when it's time for, because health should be above beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty is secondary.
Yeah.
And sometimes being healthy is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, I'm going to switch over to the chat. Thank you again for everybody's here. I know we can't see anybody's faces right now, but in the chat, y'all, if you can find your way to the chat, we're going to ask a question, and the first person to write an answer is going to get a prize from Dr. Hernandez. So Dr. Hernandez, the name of your product is Dr. Milagros. You have 3 products. You have it's a skincare serum, and a scrub, and it's what is the other one called? It's the moisturizer, right? So can you tell us more about like what the scrub does and
Sure.
what you're
I can show you here.
Okay.
It's delicious. The smell of it is
it is.
I can use it every day. It's it gets your dead cells out.
Yeah.
And it's usually the best time to use it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very gentle to the skin. It's infused with CBD, isolate, and it has a whole mess of essential oils. They're all organic, coconut oil, mono oil, aloe vera, and it just leaves your skin so soft, so moisturized. And you use this, so you know.
Still use it, and and it leaves this lovely kind of like just this lovely softness, and it just stays in a glow, and it stays with you.
It leaves your skin so soft that like baby skin.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah. And then you have the serum and
then we have the serum, which is very lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
It's also infused with CBD. It has hyaluronic acid in it, which is fantastic for the skin. And it's very light. You use a very small amount on each side of the face, 1 pearl, and that's in the whole face. You use it even in the morning, and it gets absorbed. It's non-greasy right away. And then you apply the moisturizer, which is also a lightweight moisturizer. Also, a little bit goes a long way. You just apply a pearl on each side, and it diffuses very nicely. Mm-hmm. You even have enough to put around your neck. Mm-hmm. And actually, it works very nicely, not only with the aging lines, the fine lines, but also with dark spots, with rosacea, with acne. The scrub is fantastic for acne. I had several patients that bought it for that. And it's all made with nanotechnology, which is a very, very tiny particle, so it penetrates deeper, into your pores to deliver all those essential oils that are necessary to maintain. And actually, the CBD in our skin, we have CBD receptors. Right. So CBD that the cream has adheres to those receptors, because at age 22, 23, we stop producing CBD. Mm-hmm. So that's why it helps, CBD regulates our body. It's the homeostasis, the balance of our body. So it controls also your lipid production, your fat production. Mm-hmm. So if you produce too much, it controls it. You produce too little, it also controls to produce more. So that's why this skincare line, my skincare line, every face skincare line. It's fantastic with the CBD because it adheres to your skin CBD, and it puts it to work to do what it's supposed to do, to regulate your skin, and increases your estrogen production, your collagen production.
Wow, it's really I know we talked about it being a wonder drug. Basically, it's a wonder product. I mean, the CBD isolate itself, that you can find in other products, but also because I know you in the product, yours is one of the only 100% organic CBD products on the market, I think. So, and I know you sourced it and everything. So we'll be giving away one product today, right, to one of our lucky winners. So the trivia question today, guys, if you're all in the chat, head over to the chat. And the trivia question is, Dr. Milagros Hernandez, her skincare line is called Dr. Milagros. What does Milagros mean in Spanish? That's your question. What does Milagros mean in Spanish? So the first person, I'm watching the chat room, the first person who gets, and without looking it up, you're on the system. Guesses are welcome, guys. Guesses are welcome. If you know what Milagros means or want to guess what it could mean. Oh, our winner is Bree. Congratulations, Bree. You are the winner, and I will get, since I know you, I will make sure to, I'll be sure to get the information, your information to Dr. Hernandez. So thank you, Bree. And yeah, it means it's a miracle for your skin. So I was also shocked to know that we have, not just about the CBD receptor, every human has an endocannabinoid system, right?
Actually.
Yeah, and so it's pretty amazing, that relationship between the plant and humans. So cool. Well, I'm going to open up for questions now. If anybody here in the chat room wants to unmute themselves, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, if anybody would like to ask a question in the chat, we'll have time for just a few questions. If anybody has any questions about, we have a medical doctor who has a great knowledge on skincare, on wellness. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to chat them now, or feel free to jump in. Any questions from the audience? I'm checking the chat, or just unmute yourself. Let's see. And if we don't have questions, I think I'll just wrap things up and thank you for your time. So,
I have a question.
Okay, hi, and this is our winner. Hi, Bree. Thanks for joining. What's your question for Dr. Hernandez?
So, what age would you recommend somebody go and get a mammogram?
At what age?
Yes.
It all depends on your family history. If you never had a family history of breast cancer, usually the recommendation is between 35 and 40. Okay. If you had a family history of someone having, through your maternal side, of breast cancer, 10 years before they were diagnosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you have a history of having the gene, obviously much younger, even at age 21, a sonogram could do at that early age.
All righty. I will have to schedule one here soon then.
It's a great idea. It is. Yeah. It's a great idea. Good question. Thank you. Tori's asking, when can we buy your products? They are available. And I've had some bad allergies this year. And thank you, Sarah, for your comment. Wonderful info and stories. Dr. Hernandez, allergies, do you think that CBD would be a good thing to help people who have allergy problems?
I think it will, the tinctures, because it's a potent anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
I think I have patients that have used it actually, because I sell the tincture in my office. I don't make it. I just, buy it and sell it from the same lab that makes my products, because I know they're organic, they're good.
Right.
And a lot of people use it for during the seasonal allergy, because it's a very potent anti-inflammatory.
Okay, great. Which I also suffer from. And I always feel better if I do CBD and collagen, which is my other thing. But so those are great questions. Thank you, guys. Well, I don't know if we have any other questions from anybody here. but I want to be aware of the time. Is anybody, are there any other questions or any comments for Dr. Hernandez? Otherwise, we'll just wrap up. Let's see. There's a beautiful, oh, Corey saying, thank you.
My pleasure.
For coming. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here for a second. So once again, thank you all for coming. And Sarah saying allergy help, yay. So thank you all so much for coming with Dr. Milagros Hernandez today. Your website is?
drmilagros.com. It's spelled out doctor.
DOCTORMILAGROS.com and
Yes.
on and if you ever have any questions for Dr. Hernandez, she's very approachable and knowledgeable. So once again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. And
thank you, Rachel, for having me.
Sure. We hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.